Hey, Omega.
Yeah.
So, how do you deal with a problem with, millions, literally millions, of people wanting to riot because of your product?
Go on, Shark.
You could do that, or you could send in a Jew.
Fuck you, you're wrong. Fuck you, we're right.
I gotta dumb myself down. I'm
Okay, this entire thing is really confusing.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode number 109 of Movie Serious. My name is Gunner, and that is Omega BR.
Yes.
And joining us this week also is our wonderful technical producer, Mr. Yankum DDS.
Something doesn't feel right.
Why do you say that, Yankum?
Well, I'm not already annoyed.
I wonder why that is. Oh, that's because we don't have any this week. Yankum's a xenophobe, so I just want y'all to know that. But let's start off with some.
All the energy is zapped out of the room. It's like you know who is our kryptonite, but the other way, gold kryptonite.
So basically what you're saying is that NetJester is the person to make this podcast go?
He's kind of like, it's kind of like, you couldn't have the UN if you didn't have Stalin,
Well, we're stalling on this intro and trying to make bad jokes, but let's get started with something that's a little less serious. The news! With Randy Orton versus Batista moving forward, there's still doubt of a third man will be added. Who is the third man? As a versus question mark was spotted on the run sheet backstage. Several other matches have been pitched for WrestleMania, including either the Shield Triple Threat or Rollins and Reigns facing Harper and Rowan, and Dean Ambrose facing Big E to unify the United States and Intercontinental Championships. Sheamus and Christian, Goldust versus Cody Rhodes, and some kind of NXT match are also under consideration. If they don't do Goldust and Cody Rhodes immediately, if not sooner, there's going to be too slow of a build-up to actually do that. Sheamus and Christian are perfect together because they're like, the perfect SmackDown feud to open the show, to cool something down. And the NXT match will be amazing because it'll probably end up being Bo Dallas versus Adrian Neville. And that latter match was damn good on the NXT. I have a question for you two, though. Did you guys catch the main event live showing that happened on Tuesday?
I actually did not.
I still don't have the network.
Oh, yeah. I think I need to subscribe at some point or another, but they're not getting my money just yet.
I did the live trial and I canceled it because the more I thought about it, the more I was like, this is, don't get me wrong, it's a good deal and everything. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, as convenient as it is to put it this way, I have Netflix, but there are only fleeting moments of convenience where I might watch something. It's not like I'm constantly, I want to watch this Spreaker again, or
If you are an aspiring professional wrestler, even if you haven't started your training yet, I highly recommend that you get the WWE Network, as it is a treasure trove of classic matches and a whole bunch of other stuff that you will be asked to watch later on in your training. I also believe that
unless you're Joey
Ryan. God, that guy. Yeah, I love Joey Ryan, and he's doing great. But he took the Austin Aries gimmick from 2009, right before he signed on to the TNA, or 2010, or whatever it is, and he's going to the nth degree because WWE and TNA doesn't want him. Jimmy's a little rustled.
Can't totally blame him.
No, I can't blame him at all. I mean, like, he got chewed up and spit out just like fucking McGinnis did. But, you know, and McGinnis for obviously different reasons, but McGinnis got chewed up and spit out.
So what were we talking about?
Other stuff that could happen at WrestleMania, I guess.
I don't know. It's, those all seem okay, I guess, since you kind of have to fill out the card, and the main events are already sort of decided, especially since it doesn't look like CM Punk is coming back.
I think CM Punk will actually be back. I think that we're all getting worked here, and we're all getting shown that he's not coming back, just to, you know, have it be some unbelievable comeback at some point or another. But I totally believe the reports that are coming out that he's completely burnt out from wrestling. My question for you guys, though, is Punker? Do you guys think Punker will actually come back?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I'm leaning toward no. I think, you know, there's kind of a certain apex, and I think that Raw in Chicago is the apex where, since he didn't show up, you know, they could easily misdirect him, have him show up next week and be like, yeah, surprise, but they usually don't do that. I don't know if they're smart enough to do that, but you know, like I said, and the apex of him not showing up in Chicago is sort of the thing that has made a lot of people now say, well, I guess he's not coming back. And that's kind of the same thing with WrestleMania being an apex of, if WrestleMania isn't good in the sense of kind of concluding a lot of the dumb things that have been happening storyline-wise, particularly Daniel Bryan and, you know, the Authority and this and that, if it's not a satisfying conclusion, I think that's going to be the apex of people saying, you know, there's no reason to really get into this anymore, you know, which I've kind of said before. I might, you know, which, you know, it's really their own fault. They painted themselves into this picture, so I gotta hand it up now.
It's like they want to keep trying to do something, and they're just not doing it. Otherwise, they're totally doing. It's either a great quote unquote great slow burn, or their incompetence that is showing off here.
Oh well, pass it along, I guess. We have other things to talk about, like TNA for some reason, because I keep putting it in. Seems that ProWrestling.net reports that some TNA wrestlers are being asked to take less money once their current contracts expire, which we had already talked about in the past. However, there are cases where some talents who are still around and still have time on their deals are being approached about restructuring them for less pay, sometimes roughly half. See, Sting has replaced Ric Flair for an appearance with Revolution Pro in the UK after WWE prevented Flair from making the appearance. Of course, all of Flair's business dealings must go through them now. It's interesting to note that this happens 2 weeks before WrestleMania, suggesting that perhaps Sting has not signed a WWE deal just yet, and might not for a little while. Also, a Nashville judge has pushed back TNA's civil lawsuit against Scott Steiner. The court date for that lawsuit now beginning in December. It was supposed to begin later this month.
Somebody needed more time for more proof. Okay, TNA, you go in and restructure those contracts and try to, you know, not overpay your people. Just put out a consistent, regular product that everybody would enjoy. That's all we ask. Ever.
they're absolutely going to overpay some people, and they're going to do it by underpaying people who don't deserve to be underpaid, because that's what they always do.
I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see Sting until SummerSlam. SummerSlam is when I'm predicting Sting will appear for the WWE. And this will become a giant meme, and where we all start talking about it and being like, oh, when's Steve coming in?
Yeah, they don't seem very... and we talked about it before, too. They don't seem very enthusiastic about getting him, which I guess it's because they're kind of at a point where they have a lot of other stars to talk about and everything. And plus the fact, I guess, yeah, like you said, I mean, they could save it for... So, you know, everything's so all about WrestleMania these days, to the point where they even book it a year in advance, really, or start to anyway. And then you know, and then they do have SummerSlam in Los Angeles, and they do have, you know, 10 other pay-per-views they can do stuff at. Not that you want Sting to come back at, or make his first appearance at, you know, Payback, but, you know.
Right. All right, we're going to move on here. There are conflicting reports on John Cena's health. Hasn't there been for a while now? After he announced to the crowd during the live event Friday that he had a groin tear and was in a lot of pain, still refusing to take the weekend off. PW Insider reports the groin tear happened during the planned angle on Raw. Well, Meltzer reports he has no such injury. Jake Roberts, Meltzer also reported that Punk was going to be in Chicago. Jake Roberts has 5.5 hours of surgery last Tuesday, but is concerned that doctors don't know what kind of cancer he has, but they think they got it in its early stages. And Rey Mysterio's feature could be with AAA and their new show on El Rey Network, taping this August, should he leave the WWE. He still has connections with Conan, and WWE doesn't seem to be aggressively pushing for him to re-sign at all. And AIW announced that Drake Younger has signed a contract with WWE and should report there in May. Yay for Drake Younger. I wouldn't be surprised if Mysterio joined AAA, and oh my god, Jake Roberts, I hope you're okay. Fuck you.
He won't be able to wrestle as Mysterio in AAA, though, will he?
Yeah, he will. Just spelled with the I instead of the whatchamacallit.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Mexico.
The single Z instead of the two Z's.
There you go. It's different.
Speaking of, apparently, Sin Cara, he won one of... I forget what it's called, but he won the vacant, whatever belt we were talking about the other week. And they actually have new merchandise out for him, so I guess they're moving forward with the assumption that he can use that name.
They're doing it until they're told not to. That's like what we do with a bunch of our stuff. And a bunch of our gimmicks.
Yeah. And, you know, Johnson, it doesn't really matter if he's hurt or not, because unless he's laying in a surgery table, hospital bed, he's gonna go out there and perform. Plus, while they have been pretty impressive in the past couple of months, it's not like, and I said this before, it's not like a match with Wyatt, which is probably what's gonna be his WrestleMania, is a super intensive, you know, it's not like a main event with The Rock that is supposed to last a half an hour. Although, then again, that match probably isn't super intensive either, since half of it is stalling.
Of course, yeah. Wyatt should be made a star out of that match, and I'm looking forward to that actually completing.
I don't know a lot about him. I know his name, and I'm sure I've seen some of his matches without... I can't make the connection right off the top of my head. But, Drake Younger, but I'm sure he is... But I
he's a CZW alum. He was in. He did a Chikara spin for a little bit there. I'm not terribly surprised. There's rumors going around that he's going to be brought in as a referee, actually, and that would be terrible. And given his size, I wouldn't be surprised if he would have been a really good referee. But other than that,
I mean, if you've been wrestling for, over a decade on the indies and you have the chance to be a referee in the WWE, that's, I personally would probably take it. Okay, let's see. Well, we talked about how Viscera's wife, Viscera, who of course passed away, good talent, his wife, Cassandra, posted on Facebook blasting WWE for not offering their condolences, and she also blasted TMZ for claiming that she told them he lost 100 pounds recently due to diabetes, which she says she never did. Although she later apologized to WWE, saying it was uncalled for, and that he loved the company and everyone there, and such. Jim Ross recently did one of his evening shows where he told a few stories. He said he felt he was allowed to sign Mick Foley when he did because he believed that they believed Foley would fail, and that would teach him a lesson about who he signed and such. And the angriest he's ever been with Vince McMahon was actually when he refused to say a line on commentary while Vince was screaming at him in the headset to say it. Although later on, Vince came up to him and said that he made the right decision and that it was a bad line. Speaking of Mick, his Saturday Morning Slam contract with WWE has expired, so he has no contractual ties with them. However, he does continue to make appearances for them and has a contest where you can get a WrestleMania experience, travel to New Orleans and hang out with him and do the whole WrestleMania Hall of Fame, etc., tour. I believe you buy raffle tickets to support Rain. The Rain Ring.
I would pay a pretty penny for that experience. That'd be pretty cool. Putting around New Orleans with Mick Foley. Seems kind of obvious in my opinion.
Oh yeah, the only thing that would be more fun would be a theme park with Mick Foley.
Well, you would be going. There is one that's like. It's in the park where the museum is, and you could go there. By that time, it'll be open. So I wouldn't be terribly surprised if a stop to that amusement park in the park would be up for debate. So.
I pulled up the information here. You win 2 primetime tickets to WrestleMania, seats that are normally only available to WWE family members. 2 great, quote, great tickets to Monday Night Raw, the Hall of Fame, any session of Access, an exclusive breakfast with Foley, an exclusive lunch with Brie Bella, and other surprise movements.
Well, now they're just punishing you. You have to eat lunch with Brie Bella? I don't know if that's even worth it.
It says in the subtitle, and other surprise movements. So, as long as it's not, the cast of Total Divas.
That's like, you know what that is? That's like, here's this amazing blowjob from the most beautiful model on earth, but you have to look at your grandma while you're getting it. That's what that's like.
Yeah.
All right. Also, airfare and limo and lodging and $1,000 spending cash. So the drawing date is March 24th.
But still, lunch with a Bella. I'm just saying.
You could fake 6 that day, I think.
I'm going to enter that. That sounds like fun. I would take
$2 ticket, and you have to buy a mask.
All right, I'll do that. Speaking of things that you should probably do, you should probably watch NXT on Thursdays, because NXT was damn good last Thursday. The special guests on NXT Arrival, including the mayor of Orange County and Ric Flair, reportedly moved into position for their on-camera shots and then left. For the first time, Vince McMahon has been recognized by Forbes as a billionaire, listing his personal wealth at $1.2 billion. The contract with Ion Television ends April 2nd, and Main Event was announced tonight as being live every week on the WWE Network. So goodbye, Ion Era, Main Event. Hello, WWE Network. Does anybody know if it's going to be on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays? Question mark?
I think it's live on Tuesdays because that's when they tape it before SmackDown.
Oh, well, that makes me want to go to the SmackDown taping in Buffalo in May even more. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Live TV, even if it's just Main Event, and they're basically just airing, dark matches. Live TV it's always a plus, more encouragement by the network, which I would probably not do for a while, if I do. And, there was something else that happened. Apparently when Lesnar on Raw, when Lesnar tore apart the announce table, he flung one of the monitors into the crowd. Supposedly, it either hit a kid or it hit a woman or somebody got hit, but they were fine. They left and came back or something like that.
Oh yeah, that.
Conflicting reports.
I heard they all got CM Punk shirts. Anyway,
just like the children in Africa.
I miss the rains down in Africa, just like I miss CM Punk.
I miss the rains down in Africa.
The eye of the tiger.
Alright, so we're going to jump to the 15-minute time limit.
Thank God.
This week on the 15-minute time limit, we're going to talk about some indies. Dance for safety dance.
Can we just do this thing?
Alright, let's start with the indies for a second here. So, major independent promotions in the world. Well, let's see here. We have the NWA, which their current champion is in NJPW, correct?
I don't know.
Oh, that's a horrible idea.
I thought this was at the January 4th show. That whatchamacallit? The guy who looks like Buff Bagwell that isn't Buff Bagwell. Rob Conway. Rob Conway lost it at the NJPW New Year's show.
This is a fantastic segment.
I know.
Well, you guys are. I was going to be all like, I don't really know anything about the indies. Why don't you guys inform me and our listeners, and give us something, some info about the indies that might interest us, to where we would go on YouTube or some other source and find videos. But you guys suck at this.
Give me well, I didn't realize that's what we were doing. I assumed that we were speaking to an already informed audience. I mean, this is Woo, for God's sakes.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot of Woo that doesn't necessarily, get into Puro or, the NWA or ROH or, what's another one? Noah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
TNA.
what happens when we don't have a pre-show meeting about what we're actually going
PWG.
All right, well, I'll tell you what. For a while there, over this past year, I had felt personally, not that I'm an expert or anything, I had felt that there was sort of a lull in independent wrestling, Chikara had shut down, sort of, and nobody was really making a lot of noise. A lot of pay-per-views were sort of in their groove. But I think it's starting to come back. And thinking of Chikara, yes, they are having their new premiere, this new resurgence in Easton, Pennsylvania. They're having what's it called? The show, I believe, is called You Only Live Twice. They're doing a Bond theme this time around. No actual matches have been announced for it just yet, but it happens on May 25th in Easton. And then beyond that, they're also having a red carpet premiere of what they're calling the Ashes of Chikara, which is sort of their little mini movie about what's been happening over the past year. The idea that Chikara had shut down, and then various wrestlers doing various things to sort of bring it all together. They're doing that in Collegeville, Pennsylvania, on the 5th, and they're also having. If you've ever gone to a King of Trios or heard about it, they started doing these fan interaction deals on the second night where, all the wrestlers do play games with people, different, make your own wrestling mask, pretty family friendly, things like that. They're having a mini one they're calling the Expansion Pack, right before that premiere event in Easton on the 25th. And then
Basically, it would just turn into an example of, the guys being able to sell their gimmicks and whatnot. I'm looking forward to Chikara coming back. I enjoyed the minimal attention that I had to pay to Chikara, to be completely honest, because in the past couple of years, it's been all-consuming. They moved. We had talked on this podcast about how they moved into a position where they could be where they were the number 3 independent promotion in the country by size and name alone. And what ended up happening is that something happened to have them decide, well, we're not going to book shows anymore as Chikara. And then they did Wrestling Is with Chikara and a whole bunch of other people. And then they turned it back into Chikara after this little thing that has gone on. And obviously there are rumors going around that Quackenbush isn't exactly the most up-and-up kind of person. But at the same time, there's like DJ Hyde, for example, came out and blasted Quackenbush. And then there was another person that was trained by Quack and works for Hyde. Do you remember this person that tweeted out about how this is a bunch of BS and you can't respect what he's saying? Basically, it's a bunch of he said, she said, and why Chikara and CZW don't work together anymore. But Sylvia,
I think it's on Twitter. Personalities clashing. I think it is a little disheartening how wrestling promoters always seem to kind of take the low road when it comes to certain. I think when you become a promoter, you do have the power to do whatever you want, especially when you're an owner too. You do have the power to do whatever you want, and you're not necessarily used to compromise and things like that. And obviously, CCW and Chikara are 2 different entities, and they do have kind of a history of they did work together and now they're not. I don't really want to speculate on all that. And I'll tell you, plus, I don't really care about why they were gone, or I don't even really care that much about Ashes. I haven't even seen all the videos. All I really care about is the fact that they're back, presumably to do what they did before, which did make them probably the top independent promotion in the nation. And plus, I would say, if you ever wanted to get into them and you haven't really had a good chance because they do have a rich history and everything, I would say do it now, because this is sort of their rebirth and second coming and everything.
I really enjoy Chikara. It's a great family-friendly environment. If you want something a little more kiddie, check out Kaiju Big Battle. It's basically people dressing up in Godzilla-like characters in the middle of the ring and playing out, wrestling scenes essentially. And it's a little more kiddie, a little more family-friendly, and the storylines are a little more out there.
It sort of is now. It used to be more of an adult thing. I think since they've kind of partnered with Chikara and had more of an affiliation with them, I think they started to go that route a little bit. Not that you could go to an old kaiju show and, see something just completely inappropriate for kids, but,
But that sounds
Another
interesting.
promotion that you might enjoy is PWG. We're Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, based out of Los Angeles, California. They have a couple big tournaments during the year. One is called BOLA, Battle of Los Angeles, which crowns a champion. They're definitely more silly and laid back, and they have a very frat boy feeling to their storylines. For example, Kevin Steen, the Young Bucks, and somebody else are all in a stable together, and they come out to like this 80s song. God, I can't remember. Oh my God, do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but I can't think of the names.
It's just it's basically ridiculousness, and it definitely has a California spin on it. If you're out there on the West Coast, I would totally suggest checking out PWG. Another promotion for those of you who are a little more oriented towards the hardcore variations of things, CZW. Obviously, Botchamania has its own CZW kind of take on it, where it's not that great. It's not people that are amazing, but they come in and they they look a little unprofessional. But they clean up their act, kind of. They have King of the Deathmatch tournament, and they have what am I thinking of? Basically, a couple years ago, there was the reason why I know CZW, and the reason why how I was introduced to CZW was really funny. It was I was told, oh, there's this promotion out of Philly. It's got all these hardcore matches. I was like, yeah. He's like, dude, he took a syringe and stuck it through the other guy's cheek. Wait, what? No.
Jesus, fuck.
Yeah, it was the finals of one of the King of the Deathmatch tournaments. I think like 2008, 2009, something like that. So like literally like a 6-inch hypodermic needle, just right through the cheek.
Jesus fucking Christ! Why?
But they have other stuff, like ladder matches and the like thumbtacks and light tubes and that kind of stuff. If you're into that, go for that. But otherwise, if you're into more of a strong style and having... and then there's Ring of Honor. And Ring of Honor, a couple years ago, I would have told you Ring of Honor is one of the best promotions in the land. It was damn good. It was hard hitting. That's where all the indie darlings are. And if you want Ring of Honor, and if you want to look at the independent wrestling scene in America, you could take a look at Ring of Honor. Fast forward 4 years, and we're sitting here looking at Ring of Honor going, well, Kevin Steen kind of works there sometimes. And the Briscoes are okay. And Nigel McGuinness is still kind of there. But then you look at the rest of the roster and you go, wait a minute, is that Matt Hardy?
Speaking of Ring of Honor, if I may, they have coming up a big, which we mentioned before, the big dual interpromotional set of shows with New Japan Pro Wrestling. They've got Global Wars in Toronto on, I believe, May 10th. And then they have the War of the Worlds from the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York on May 17th. And that gets me thinking, here we are talking about indies, and it's the perfect time, actually, because with WrestleMania weekend come the independent promotions and a little thing called WrestleCon, which you might remember from last year, which is basically exactly what it sounds like. It is a wrestling convention of different vendors and guests and live wrestling throughout the weekend there in New Orleans. Ring of Honor is going to be there, CZW is going to be there, $5 Wrestling is going to be there,
Edge will be there, Goldberg will be there.
I'm sold.
I'm looking at the site right now. $5 Wrestling, PWG, Wildcat, CZW. They'll be there.
You had me at $5 Wrestling.
Oh god, $5 Wrestling is another one of those comedy things, by the way. Colt Cabana and Marty DeRosa do commentary for it, and some people aren't very happy with what they are, but I mean, you know, let's put it this way. In my opinion, every facet of wrestling has its place. It's not to sit here and say that all wrestling has its place. I mean, as long as it's professionally trained in a ring, looking somewhat professional, you know, I'm okay with it.
Well, the reason $5 wrestling works is because it is sort of wrestling for the modern crowd. It's sort of, you know, it's very much a parody almost of actual wrestling, which of course makes it entertaining. You know, you have a lot of shows these days that are sort of parodies of different things. You know, I don't see it as disrespectful necessarily. I think it's all good fun. You know, nobody's gonna confuse it with you know, a PWG or a Ring of Honor or anything. And I'm looking at the schedule here. A live concert with Mickey James. Now that's worth the price. What about a quote-unquote shenanigans party with Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and more, hosted by Pro Wrestling Report?
Oh yeah, I've heard about these kind of parties. Basically, you pay a whole bunch of money and you can go drink with Kevin Nash, which is cool in and of itself to sit there and say that. You know, admission's like $25, and if you're going to WrestleMania this year, go to it, because that sounds like a whole bunch of fun. Like $25 per like event thing. Like they have a Saturday during the day, and then they have a night thing where they'll have Independent Wrestling Super Show. It'll feature matches from PWG, CZW, and ROH, and then a $5 Wrestling Live Hall of Fame after party. That sounds like fun. All right. What else am I missing?
Hurricane Helms is going to be there too. Now you know it's
a wrestling trivia contest with Matt Stryker. You know that you lose.
So lots of good stuff there. Lots of good stuff.
Yeah, so if you, I mean, that's the American indie scene basically in a bubble. If you'd like to check out more, you can check out wooo. They have an indie thread, and they'll get you all up to date on all of that. So. Okay, that's it for 15-minute time limit. We're going to go into a song.
First, we're going to go into an RWR commercial that Alice recorded for us. And then we're going to go into David Otunga, attorney at law. So this is the end of the half, and we will be right back with the second half in a moment.
You're listening to Smark Snark. Hi, this is Alice Radley. Join me Tuesday nights for RWR, my weekly Monday Night Raw review. You can also catch me Friday nights on MLW VIP's Group Therapy with MSL. If you'd like to chat with me directly, I'm at Alice Radley, RADLEY, on Twitter.
Pull up. Fighting injustice, making it hurt. No respect for those with no respect for the law. David Otunga, attorney at Raw. You got a bow tie. You got a bow tie. You got a bow tie. Objection! Trim your goatee and cut your hair. Hey, injustice, you better beware. Write a bad injunction that'll leave on it all. David Otunga, attorney at Raw. You got a bow tie. Bow tie. You got a bow tie. Objection. If you're having legal trouble, I feel bad for your son. I got 99 problems, but the law ain't one. David Otunga, attorney at Raw. David Otunga, attorney at Raw.